I get a cut. I think I'm top five. Top five.
Top five side ones, track ones.
What up, what up, what up?
What is even up? This is Top 5. I'm Kenton McDonald.
And I'm Ian Howe.
And today we have a guest. Surprise, surprise, we have a guest.
Hey, guest.
Hi, I'm Adam.
Adam Rader. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I'm actually very excited to discuss music. I never get to talk about this stuff.
What's our top 5 criteria today?
Just to make this as confusing as possible, I picked an extraordinarily broad topic, and that's songs with acoustic guitar.
That's good. I think that's a very accessible topic. You don't have to be someone who knows about music to know what an acoustic song is.
That's
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm one of those people, and I can't wait to get into it.
Hell yeah.
Well, I got a question. So this is your initial topic.
Yes.
Why did it jump out at you?
I mean, and partially just because it's something that I feel very qualified to talk about because I listen to a lot of acoustic music, like folk players and acoustic guitarists who are kind of more avant-garde and stuff. And I had been listening to a lot of it recently because it's a good soundtrack to write my novel.
Awesome. You want to tell us about your novel?
Yeah, it's called Revenge. It's a western, I guess. It's like a post-apocalypse western in a way. Like in a world where authority and governments have not existed for 1,000 years.
Cool.
Yeah, it's based on my memories of my childhood in Idaho in the mountains, and it's pretty good so far, I think.
Awesome.
I think this could be the next great American novel, and I'm looking forward to it.
Wow. Will you humble me with your expectations? And I can only hope once I'm got millions of writing dollars, I'll kick you a couple bucks.
Please, yeah, just buy the beer.
Sure.
Yeah, I think on the episode that we had Johnny Cat, we kind of got into something, and I said that I believe there's going to be a masterpiece that comes out of this pandemic.
And it would only take one for you to be right.
Exactly. So I'm counting on you to be the one.
Hey, right on.
All
I'll take care of it.
Well, without any more of this, whatever I'm doing, why don't we get into the show and you start us up with your number 5 acoustic guitar music track.
So, song number 5 on my list is by a psychedelic, progressive, whatever band from the UK called May Blitz. And their very first album starts with a track called Smoking the Day Away that's just about smoking weed all day. And it's just a truly incredible song. If you've never heard May Blitz, they're like really groovy, and they had 2 albums, and they're not really like any other band that I've heard. Like they experiment really wildly in some of their songs, but not in like a krautrock avant-garde way. It's just kind of like groovy rock and stuff. But the reason this track is so great is because 4 minutes into it, the guy just starts ripping into a crazy solo, but it's all an acoustic guitar. It's like acoustic strings just flying, you know?
Okay, so it's just a part in the song that's acoustic?
It's a part in the song. It's like a whole rock song. The psychedelic rock song's very grooving. Okay. And then maybe about 4 minutes in, there's like a pause, and then he just busts into just like wailing acoustically.
Oh, that's really cool.
You hear the like jangling of the strings and the like plinking and plonking of it. It's definitely not amplified. And it's a really interesting counterpoint to the rest of the song because they also have like a distorted electric guitar in the background sometimes that wahs, and it like the bass is like pulsing. It is incredibly impressive. Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool. And what was the name of that song?
It's called Smoking the Day Away by May Blitz.
May Blitz. I'm going to check that out. That sounds really interesting and obviously something that is not on everyone's radar. Cool. What do you got, Ian?
I also have a, a psychedelic band from the UK, but a little more well known. A band by the name of Hawkwind, who I know you're a huge fan of, Adam.
I never heard of these people before.
Well, they have a song called "Space Is Deep," and that's my pick.
Tremendous
Damn, dude.
song.
Starts off with Dave Brock on 12-string acoustic, accompanied by Lemmy, also on an acoustic guitar. And the bulk of the song is acoustic, and then everything else comes in, and they do their whole Hawkwind thing, jamming, what feels like endlessly, but never gets boring.
What album is that on?
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Oh, the good one.
One of the good ones.
One of the best ones.
One of the best ones. And and then at the end of the song comes back to just acoustic guitar, kind of fiddling around, doing some jamming.
Dang, ma.
I always like it when Hawkwind does a acoustic song. It's pretty rare, but it always has some interesting stuff going on.
Yeah. The song is based on a Michael Moorcock poem, which is recited on Space is Deep, but that version is not acoustic. What do you got, Ken?
I'm not going as deep as you guys. I'm going from a 1994 album.
Okay.
American Recordings, you familiar? Johnny Cash.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
Yeah, produced by Rick Rubin. It came at a time where Johnny Cash, he was kind of in this slum of his career through the 70s and 80s, and Rick Rubin saw him at Bob Dylan's 30th anniversary of, I guess, one of his albums, and Johnny Cash was playing, and Rick Rubin thought to himself, man, this guy still has so much left in him. So he approached him and asked him if he'd be into it, and Johnny Cash was kind of skeptical or didn't really want to do it. And he's like, listen, I want to give you complete creative control. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I want you to make a record that you want to make. And I'm going to help you do that any way I can.
And he hadn't been able to do that for a long time, right?
Yeah, there's always been someone telling him to do something along the way. And he'd also recently just relapsed back into drugs into this. So it's, he was kind of a liability to the record industry at that point. So this was a really good opportunity for him. And the song that I'm here to tell you about is called 13.
13.
It was written by a young, I guess he was a little bit older, but he's been around for a long time. His name was Glenn Danzig, and he wrote this song for Johnny Cash.
Really?
Yeah. Rick Rubin asked him in 1993 if he would be interested in doing a song for Johnny Cash. He said, are you fucking kidding me? Yes, I need to do this. He's the original Man in Black. And he grabbed his guitar and he wrote it supposedly in 20 minutes, flew out to Tennessee to Johnny Cash's farm, showed him how to play the song. And Glenn had nothing but nice things to say about Johnny Cash. But the song 13 is super good. Obviously, the Danzig connection to it makes me super aware of it. Because also Danzig has his own version of this song that came out on his 6th record, which was Satan's Child, that came out in 1999. And it's not an acoustic version on Danzig's record, but it's also a great song. And, and it took him, 5 years after the fact to do his own version. But it's a really amazing song.
It's really cool that, Danzig has that kind of Americana thing going on with his very American music. So it's really a cool, coming back to the start. What's the right term for that?
Full circle.
Full circle, right. Yeah.
Sure.
I flunked geometry, but it's really full circle for Danzig to write a song for Johnny Cash.
Totally. And another one that he wrote was for Roy Orbison. One of the last songs he recorded before he died,
No
called
kidding.
"Life Fades Away." He
Huh.
wrote that for him, which is also a great song, not acoustic. So
So you were saying it was Johnny Cash was able to do whatever he wanted, but it was Rick Rubin's call or Johnny Cash's call to have Danzig write the song?
well, Rick asked people if they'd be interested. Didn't mean that Johnny Cash was required or had to do any of the songs. It was more just like trying to give him a platform to stand on.
Shit to work with.
Yeah, right out the gate. So, yeah, it's killer song. Check it out.
Nice.
The name one more time?
13 by Johnny Cash.
Cool. Number 4.
Okay. Track number 4 on my list is by a Japanese musician named Kengo Iuchi. Kengo Iuchi is really interesting musician. Sometimes people call his music death folk and things like that. He writes basically he writes like weird folk music about extremely morbid themes, and he kind of doesn't sing in tune. He just sort of screams.
Does he sing in English or
Japanese?
Japanese? Okay.
The particular song that I chose is called Ushi Otoku no Dokuhaku, which, as far as I could figure out, translates to the cowman's monologue. I picked it because for this playlist because it is just him and an acoustic guitar, but he's really not playing it like an acoustic guitar. He's like slamming on it in more of a percussive way almost to make a beat, and like the jangling and weird sounds of the out of tune strings make this like piece of like non-musical music that's really really amazing. Like it's very dark and kind of horrible to listen to because he's like just like a man moaning and screaming in misery while he plays a guitar poorly. But the mood of it is like it's just incredible if you're into that kind of like morbid atmosphere. I don't know if any of our listeners are, but I love extremely morbid music, so it worked for me.
Me too. I like weird and dark and morbid.
I also I appreciate when people play instruments in ways they weren't supposed to be played, and this is there's like a tune to it and a structure, but he's not playing an acoustic guitar the way anybody really would. So it comes across extremely emotional, sort of an expression of his misery more than anything else. It's pretty effective.
Cool.
Yeah. Kengo Iuchi was the name of the artist, and the song is called Ushi Otoku no Dokuhaku.
And sorry, when was this from?
I think the early 90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. I realized after putting my whole list together that all of my songs have drums.
Oh, interesting.
I like
Right on.
drums. Yeah. And
You're a
Drum
rhythm
good.
man. I know that about you.
sure, yeah.
You know, the drum was probably the first musical instrument ever made.
I do know that. Just
Hitting shit with a stick. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Everybody loves it.
But the acoustic guitar in this song is really an afterthought. Even there is acoustic guitar on the single version, but on the album version, there's not even acoustic guitar. But it's such a cool song, though. The song is Lee Hazelwood and Nancy Sinatra, "Some Velvet Morning."
Oh, great song. Yeah.
The production is it's phenomenal. It's really, really cool sounding stuff. The way their voices play off of each other, between the verse and the chorus. And then on top of that, the change in the time signature, especially at the end when it's going back and forth more quickly. It's really, really trippy sounding. And Lee Hazelwood was not a drug head, but he absolutely captured that really, really psychedelic sound.
Was that on one of Hazelwood's solo albums, or is it on Nancy and Lee?
It's on the first Lee and Nancy, and I think was released as a single, like Nancy Sinatra with Lee Hazelwood.
Mm-hmm.
But they're such a good team.
They are.
Really, really complement each other.
sweet. I don't think I've heard that. I just want to check it out.
Yeah.
I think you would love Lee Hazelwood,
Yeah.
Kenton.
I know a little, but I've never gone deep. And
his song Cold Hard World almost made my list. The acoustic guitar is a little more prominent in that one. But his work with Nancy is my favorite of his stuff. So
how does it
Went
fall
with
in
that.
Nancy's career?
it's my favorite of her stuff.
So
Well,
it's
I
best of both worlds.
I believe everything she did was produced by him.
Yeah, he wrote these boots.
Oh,
Yeah, he wrote.
okay.
Yeah, I think he wrote every song on the album Boots that wasn't they're about half covers on that record.
Fuck
Big,
yeah.
big, popular, well-known covers.
Fuck yeah, bro.
That's some big time shit. My God.
I'm just trying to deal with big timers only, like all the time, only big time.
That's why you chose your 4 and 5 because
Yeah.
how big timey they are.
Yeah, big time Kengo Iuchi, the depressed Japanese folk star.
I've said this for a while. Dude, I just fuck with the hits now. Like, when I was younger, I tried to go super obscure and just kind of be on the front lines of what was new. Dude, just stick with the hits. Do yourself a favor
Don't
and
dig.
listen to the hits.
I agree with this. I think I like researching rare, obscure music and shit. Like I just do it as a hobby, but I think people think because I like that I don't like the hits, but really that stuff exists because of the hits.
Yeah, the hits are the no-brainer.
The hits are hits for a reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like people aren't going to come up to me and say, whatever, this hit song I'm talking about sucks. They want to talk about some like Indonesian band that was around for 2 months that influenced some other band that influenced Van Halen or something.
It's a
20
pretty good
years
band.
later, like, who gives a shit? And if you give a shit, I don't apologize to you. That's on you.
So what big hit do you have for number 4?
Oh, dude, this is a fucking minor hit. Okay. But it's a hit nonetheless. Greg Sage of The Wipers, On the Run. One of my favorite songs.
Cool.
It came out on his album in 1985 called Straight Ahead. And later it was actually covered by Jay Mascis because he's a huge fan. On his debut solo album, Martin and Me. So he has a cover version of that came out in 1996, I believe.
Is it acoustic?
It is. Yeah. So we're sticking to the acoustics. Bam, bam. There it is.
I love the way Greg Sage wangles a guitar, but I've never heard this solo album.
Oh, as a whole, I probably don't love it as much as The Wipers, but that's my own bias from years and years of listening to just The Wipers. But his solo stuff has a ton of merit. It's not like an afterthought. It's actually pretty good. But this song in particular, I feel like is the pinnacle for me.
What is it like?
What's it like? It's sad. Most of my songs are sad now that I'm looking
that's
at
what
it.
the acoustic guitar is best for.
That's
Yeah.
true, yeah.
It helps
plaintive.
them convey the message of how sad they are. And you know what? My ears perk up every time I hear a sad song. I'm like, that's me. You're talking about me.
While my guitar gently weeps.
Yeah.
That's a song.
Yeah.
I don't think it's acoustic though. Well, in your opinion, what's the third best acoustic guitar song?
So this one I chose to highlight like a kind of acoustic guitar playing rather than necessarily the song specifically, but it's by a musician named Fatu Sadie Gali, and she's Malian, and the song's called Telilit, and I picked it because it's a really beautiful song, but also like the guitar as it's played in the U.S. is originated with black musicians in Mali and North Africa, and so like the like desert people there have a really interesting, cool guitar music that they play. There's a musician who plays in Portland a lot, Mdu Mukhtar, who's also from North Africa and plays this kind of guitar sound. But I just think this song Talilit is like really nice because it's just her and the acoustic guitar singing and playing this kind of like really cool like Middle Eastern African sounding kind of mesmerizing droning song. Yeah. I don't know enough about guitars to really describe how it is that the North African guitarists play, but it's just really cool.
They have their own style?
Very, very specific.
Cool.
Very specific sounding. Yeah.
Regional sound I'm not familiar with, but
There's actually a label in town called Sahel Sounds that is like, it's this guy who went to Africa and he discovered that in North Africa the most common way for people to trade music is not like CDs or tapes or something, but they text recordings between cell phones. So he made these comps, music from Saharan cell phones. There's all songs of this kind that he collected when he was in Africa, and he started a whole label about it. He started releasing North African artists, and you can get him at Mississippi Records.
Cool.
oh, perfect.
Yeah, my friend went to Egypt and came back with a thumb drive full of North African music that I seemed very dated to me, but
Whatever works.
yeah.
Yeah, get it out there by any means
Bring it back here.
necessary.
Yeah.
That song title was Talilit, and the artist is Fatu Saidi Gali.
Nice.
Fuck yeah. Ian, what you got? my
Number
man?
3,
Is it a hit?
sounds like a huge hit.
I'll tell you after I listen to it. Could be huge.
The way you described it, it sounds very hit-worthy.
Hit parade.
I got another one.
You got
Sweet,
one?
man. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
What you got?
Hit me.
The band is Love.
Oh.
The album is Forever Changes.
Beautiful.
Had a very hard time picking the song off that record, but settled with You Set the Scene. The obvious pick, I feel like, is Alone Again, or the super iconic acoustic guitar intro. You know, you hear that and you know you're in for a treat. The like kind of flamenco style. But I did not want to pick a song not written by Arthur Lee for my one love pick. And that song was written by the bass player, Brian McLean, who auditioned for the Monkees and did not make the cut. And also ended up being some kind of psycho Christian guy.
Yeah, he doesn't make a good fit for the Monkees.
it?
Those are all
Yeah.
good boys.
Yeah, the same
Nice
Christian
boys.
ministry that ended up getting Bob Dylan.
Oh, okay.
Wait, Bob Dylan's a Christian now?
That's what I
So is
read.
Alice Cooper, dude. We're
That's
not here to
true, yeah.
judge them on their religion. We're talking about acoustic guitar music. Let's
Anyways,
keep it
yeah.
on point.
So as good as Alone Again or is, You Set the Scene is such an epic track. It's, you could argue it's 3 songs in one. It's at least 2. You know, just how different the parts are, and the way the strings work with the acoustic guitars all throughout that record really is so nice to listen to, and it's really, really well done. And it's all Arthur Lee's string arrangements that he would just hum or sing to the string players.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And including on Alone Again, or which was originally just called Alone Again, and Arthur Lee was like, let's make it a little more mysterious and confusing. Added the word "or" at the end.
Or
And that's my pick. Yeah, truly epic track.
I like
Big
that.
hit.
Big hit.
that's a hit. Yeah, it hits.
Kenton, what you got?
Number 3, the big 3.
I just want to bring it back here, okay? Because this song is a Danzig song. It's called Come to Silver. It was originally on Danzig's 1996 Danzig 5 album and not acoustic at all. But if anyone out there who's listening is hearing me say Danzig 5, they probably all had the same shudder that went through me for a number of years, because it's full industrial bad. I mean, that's the breaking point. The band was no longer the same. The style was tragically mid-90s. Every year I put on this record just to try to understand it, and it took me a better part of 10 years of listening to this record to accept it. I don't love it, but I don't actively hate it anymore. But this is the one song that was the song that I'm like, I get behind this song. Like right out the gate. There's the only saving grace of this song for the album. But there was an album that came out in 2007 called The Lost Tracks of Danzig, which were all studio outtakes from everything from Danzig 1 to Danzig 8. So from 1988 to 2004. And it just so happened that there is an acoustic version of Come to Silver on The Lost Tracks of Danzig. It is exactly how that song should have been performed out the gate. And the fact that Danzig knew that enough to even walk into the studio with an acoustic guitar to do it with no plan of, and thank God he did, because it's a great song. It's sad, but like all Danzig lyrics, it's not super coherent. It doesn't tell an actual story. I don't know what coming to silver and coming to gold means, or makes you kill a man or steal another man's life, but it has these kind of rooted kind of country that I think that Danzig does very well, especially on the acoustic guitar. But for me, that's got to be on my number 3 pick. And since you've never been top 5 studios, since we're on the topic, one of my favorite topics, if you look over here, there's this glass box that was given to me by Ian Howe a number of years ago. That is a plaster cast of Danzig's finger with an autograph of Danzig right behind it, and a picture I took of him back in 2006 underneath.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you come by that relic?
Well, I'm glad you asked, actually. My good friend, Dan Anderson, who actually has a podcast that's coming out pretty soon, and it's all tour stories. Him and his buddies are doing it. So that's going to be launching pretty soon. So keep your eyes, ears peeled for that, because that's going to be epic. He worked at a screen printing shop in San Francisco, and one of the people that they contract work out to is like a custom leather company or glove making company, because Danzig gets like these custom gloves made, so custom in fact that they have to make plaster casts of his hands. And so the plaster cast,
little finger.
yeah, well, yeah, it's a good sized finger. It's a ring finger, and it's kind of been painted up. It looks terrific though. Maybe I'll put a picture in the show notes. But the plaster cast had fallen off the shelf, and this guy came into my buddy's screen printing shop and was like, hey, do any of you guys want one of Danzig's fingers? And Dan, to his credit, is like, no, but yes, give me whatever you can get, I'll take it all. And he told me, listen, man, I've got something so good coming for you. Fuck, I can't even wait. I got to tell you. You'd be bummed if I tell you? I'm like, no, dude, tell me. Dude, a plaster cast of Danzig's finger. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You're a fucking liar. And straight up, a couple years went by before that guy actually delivered on this finger. And when I went to go visit Dan, it's like, dude, I got something for you. And I knew it. And it's been one of my prized possessions ever since.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
And thank you for letting me talk about Glenn. It's a huge reason why I started the podcast. Okay, moving right along. Adam, what do you got on your number 2?
Number 2. My number 2 song is one of my favorite songs in the world. I can't remember where he's from, but he was a folk musician in the 70s. His name is Simon Finn, and he recorded one extremely deranged album called Past the Distance. It's really weird. The whole album kind of seems like a guy who's having a bad acid trip. Like he's like peaceful, and then he'll just start freaking out in his songs. And the opening track is a track called "The Courtyard." That is it's just an extremely ghostly song. It has like the acoustic guitar in it isn't that special in and of itself, but just like the way that it's recorded, and like it sounds like it's like in a weird cavernous room, and like his vocals are very spaced out, and kind of like he just kind of sings like this in a very ghostly way. And I don't know what it is about it that compels me so much, but it's just kind of like this strange song. It's called "The Courtyard," and it's the first song on the album, so not that hard to find, I guess.
Cool. Yeah, and also I totally feel you on that, because sometimes it's hard to articulate what it is that you're drawn to, because when you listen to music, like not just in passing or on top 40 radio, like there is something, it's like a gut feeling even that kind of draws you to it. And sometimes it could be a number of elements, but you may not even be aware of what's actually drawing you towards it.
Yeah.
It's especially weird when it's just like a melody or a tone, or like production, that something you can't say, you can't put your finger on it, but overall it gives you a feeling.
Yeah, there's something that's drawing you in.
I think something I look for is like even the mood of the song is like very important to me, and is like something I attach to with songs I really like. And the whole Simon Finn album is very deranged kind of, and pretty out there. But this particular song is so weirdly like I don't know. It's like a person who's like if you meet a person who's like really zanned out, who like they like are saying emotional things, but they have no emotions in their voice, kind of. And that's kind of almost how the guitar playing is too. Like he's playing like happy sounding guitar, but the song does not feel like happy or like upbeat. And his voice is so like weird and vague's not the word, but it's just like it's very strange mood, and it really fascinates me.
Cool.
Yeah.
I still haven't, even up to number 2, haven't heard of a single artist you've mentioned tonight, but
Sorry.
good on you.
No,
man.
that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
We want to know about shit we don't already know about. That's the whole joy of having a guest,
There you go.
in hopes of learning something new, which we are learning.
You're not going to learn anything with my pick.
Oh,
Okay.
Something we're definitely all very familiar with.
I can't wait.
But
Is it a
maybe-
hit?
It's a fucking hit.
it's a hit.
Right.
And maybe something you've never considered about this song, but I believe it's the first time a punk band ever used an acoustic guitar.
Really?
It's the Ramones, Don't Come Close.
Oh.
Ah.
The clean guitars are very, very obvious, but there is acoustic guitar in there. I had to read an interview with Ed Stasium to verify that, but they are on the track, and the song is so good. I almost regret not putting it on my top 5 for our first.
Oh yeah, the
podcast.
Ramones on Not on Mania.
It's so catchy. It's so great. The first line right out the bat, it's just such great Joey, where he says, "You know it's generally known, but you know it's generally known." He's got to fit it in there,
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
great.
a great Joeyism. And it's a very different, the whole album, Road to Ruin, is a different step for the Ramones. The first 3 are all, the
Ramones.
the classic Ramones sound. And I considered putting Questioningly
Me too, actually.
on, off the same record, but Don't Come Close just takes
Yeah,
the
that's a
cake
great
for me.
pick.
It's a good song.
And you weren't kidding. That's a hit.
Yeah.
It's a hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No denying.
Yeah, it's a bullet. Shoots
And-
straight to the top.
Any chance I get to put Ramones on a top 5 list, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar boat. I'm just waiting for the opportunity to talk about a couple things I love.
Your pick from, or one of your picks from the first episode too, could have made the cut. That I Want You Around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What's yours?
My pick, to me, he is one of the most endearing songwriter, singer, Jonathan Richman.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, the song that I'm speaking to you about is That Summer Feeling. It's kind of a sad song disguised as a happier song.
A common thing in pop music.
Yeah, he really goes into talking about nostalgia and all the things we associate, like the summertime, swimming on the boat, cars, music on the radio, like all the things you associate with a good time. But at the same time, the content of what he's talking about is, do you really long for this person, this old love, or just the way you were at that point in your youth? You know, but the whole idea is that summer feeling is going to haunt you later in your life. I love this song. I guess I should probably tell you the version that I think is the best version was from an Australian television interview when he was on tour with John Cale. He does a live performance of just him and his acoustic guitar. And, you know, he's drumming on the back of the guitar and kind of dancing and swaying and pointing. He's so awkward and, like I said, so endearing. Like everything about it is kind of off, but so just hitting me right where it counts. And yeah, that version is what got me really turned on to it, even though the first recorded version of it was with Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers off of his album Jonathan Sings from 1983, which was on Sire Records, but it was a UK release only. But then later in, I believe it was 1992, he has an acoustic version on his album I, Jonathan. He kind of changes stuff up as he goes along. So the lyrics aren't exactly the same on the acoustic version as it is on the, you know, album version with the full band. And more importantly, not exactly the same as my favorite version, which is really easy to find if you YouTube That Summer Feeling by Jonathan Richman. It'll come up on YouTube. He's wearing like this reddish pink shirt. Yeah, it's just do yourself a favor because it's a treat to see him doing what he does best.
I'm just thinking fondly of him right now.
He's a special one. No one like him.
There really
there's
isn't.
no one
The
like
only
Jonathan
other
Richman.
person that I would put in a similar category, Billy Bragg. I feel like
Billy
he has a very
Bragg.
similar.
Such a different appeal to me, but
I think he's still very earnest and almost juvenile in how the emotion he puts into music being at the forefront of the lyrical content
Yeah,
and everything.
It is very teenage. I don't mean that as an insult. I just mean like
no,
just
totally.
saying, like,
I can see that. Yeah.
it's just 100% sincere. He doesn't really care. Billy Bragg, I mean. Jonathan Richman too also, but like
Jonathan Richman is almost more pre-adolescent,
Yeah.
like in many ways. You know, singing about the ice cream man and I'm a little dinosaur.
Yeah, there's there is almost a spectrum to
definitely.
that
For sure.
that Jonathan Richman has that Billy Bragg doesn't. But to me, I still, as far as artists that do predominantly guitar and sing, I think both of them, a large part of their catalog is just them with the guitar singing. And the vulnerability in that alone, I think, also makes it easy for me to have that comparison.
That's why I like the drums.
Mm-hmm.
You get to hide.
You
Yeah.
like the bass too.
Yeah, he's still kind of hiding compared to.
behind the drums you're like in a whole defensive position. You're
Yeah.
like in a foxhole basically.
There's a physical barrier between you and everyone else.
Yeah.
What do you got for number one, Adam?
My number one song for acoustic songs is a song that I just listened to it. I've listened to it countless times. It's by one of my favorite musicians ever, Robbie Basho, who's he was like a California like hippie guitarist guy. He was like a weird kind of guru type dude who experimented a lot with like all kinds of different religions that were fashionable in the 60s, Sufism, Zen, getting into Native American stuff. He did all that stuff. He was like a really interesting figure. He was released on if you all know who John Fahey is. John Fahey was like he's an acoustic guitar player who kind of recorded these acoustic albums in the 60s and up until the 80s. And he had a label called Tacoma Records that was mostly this new breed of American acoustic guitar players who they called it American primitivism, because it was supposed to be drawing from like blues and bluegrass and like all this kind of stuff, folk music, and combining it with like Indian raga music and like those kind of influences. And so it's all very interesting meditative stuff, and some John Fahey songs almost made it onto my list. But Robbie Basho is really near and dear to me because, one, he sings a lot and he has a really weird yodeling singing voice, and he's very mystical. And this particular song is from an album called Visions of the Country, which just reminds me of Idaho, where I was born, and like the whole album just kind of like takes me on a mind trip back there. And the song is called Elk Dreamer's Lament. And I'm not really sure if I know how to describe it, but it showcases all the stuff that Robbie Basho does well, which is like combining. He plays a 12-string acoustic guitar, and he combines like all kinds of different influences, like American acoustic guitar playing. He combines like Indian raga music. He combines like Persian and Arabic musical influences, and like some kind of faux Chinese stuff that he does into this like incredible like sound tapestry. Like you wouldn't even believe that he did it all with most of his songs. You wouldn't even believe that he did it all with like a single guitar, because he's doing so
multiple tracks.
No, not all the time.
Oh, okay, cool.
A lot of the time he's like picking with both. It sounds like to me like he's picking with both hands. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like he does like a claw hammer thing like they would in blues, while also like doing all kinds of crazy note picking. But this particular song, Elk Dreamer's Lament, is just like it's like the most spare song on the album. He doesn't sing. There's no other backing tracks. There's no drums or anything. It's just this like really, really beautiful just guitar. Just like playing this kind of like, it's not sad or melancholy really. It's just kind of like just a really atmospheric little like ramble through a kind of like, it reminds me of a nighttime landscape or something like that, or just being in the forest. It feels really North American is how I would put it. Like really North American. It like isn't any specific kind of acoustic guitar music. It's just like Robbie Basho just kind of like
that
creating
sounds,
this sound picture.
you trying to describe it to us, and then you telling me it sounds very North American. It took me a minute to try to wrap my head around that, because I know that you mentioned so many different cultures on the way to get there.
Well, I
so
mean, that's
yeah, everyone's influenced by something, and that's really cool that you picked your number one as the purest acoustic guitar track with nothing else. There's no lyrics or
Yeah, it's not really like super experimental. He's just like playing acoustic guitar. And he's like a virtuoso at it, but he's not like stunting either. He's not doing like crazy parts. He's just making, I don't know, it's beautiful. Robbie Basho, Elk Dreamer's Lament.
Very good.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, Ian, what do you got?
I got a hit again.
It's a hit?
It's another hit.
Dude, I love hits.
I can fuck with a hit.
It's David Bowie.
Okay.
The song is Quicksand.
Quicksand.
Quicksand off Hunky Dory. A lot of David Bowie to choose from.
There is, yeah,
like-
especially the earlier works of his.
Any of his Ken Scott produced stuff. Yeah, all of Ziggy, or not all of Ziggy Stardust, but you got Starman, Soul Star,
Mhm.
Rock and Roll Suicide, plenty to pick from there. I thought of Quicksand, and so I stuck with it. And the acoustic guitars are a huge role in that song. There's 6 different tracks of it. Ken Scott had just produced All Things Must Pass
Oh, yeah.
before so he was going into Hunky Dory with like big acoustic guitar sounds in mind, and really went for it with this one. And I think that the song is wildly dynamic, going super low, coming up, coming back down, and then getting huge. But I think all of that was captured just with acoustic guitars, and Mick Ronson's string arrangements only add to that, and the piano complements it so beautifully, and it's a really, really great song.
Yeah, totally. And I couldn't agree with you more. That's a great pick. I had a number of Bowie songs that I had in mind myself, but I'm glad you picked something from him because I didn't. And I absolutely love Hunky Dory, and it blows my mind that the rest of the world at the time when that record came out, it was like a dud. No one gave a fuck.
Yeah, it's interesting. People don't talk about Hunky Dory really, or, when everybody brings up their favorite Bowie record or whatever, nobody mentions it.
I know what you mean. I think it's like we were talking about earlier. When you think about a hit, you're drawn to it. So people are drawn to his most successful or the most iconic.
For sure.
But those early works of his, the progression there is almost more interesting than the later progression. The fact that it got him to that point where everyone knew his name.
I mean, by now, Life on Mars is absolutely a hit.
Sure,
which
yeah.
is on that record. But
Yeah.
But the fact that didn't bring him into stardom is mind-boggling. Like, to release that record and have it.
And
not
the
catch-
second record with Mick Ronson, because he was also on Man Who Sold the World, which also wasn't very popular
didn't
either.
even have a single.
Man Who Sold the World is a great record, though. I listened to that
heaviest
this
work.
morning.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that shit rocks. No doubt about it. Well, sweet. David Bowie.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Quicksand.
Quicksand. Sinking in the quicksand of my thoughts. What's
Number
your number
one.
one, Kenton?
All right. My number one, different drum, Michael Nesmith of the Monkees. Are you guys familiar?
No.
Please tell me about this.
Different drum is actually made famous by Linda Ronstadt and the Stone Ponies.
Cool.
You probably know the organ, and it's a very big production. In fact, actually, the Stone Ponies version of it, Linda Ronstadt's the only member of the Stone Ponies who's on that. Everyone else is studio musicians. But that was the song was written by Michael Nesmith in 1964, and he tried to give it to the Monkees, but since the television producers had control over the musical content, they turned him down. And so actually the first version of this song that was recorded was by the Greenbrier Boys in 1966. And it's an acoustic. It's very country sounding. And that was the first version. And that next year is when the Stone Ponies released their version, which was a huge success. I think it charted on all the major, top 100s and stuff. In the top 20s, I think it was mostly around between 10 and 14. And the most success was in New Zealand. But that aside, huge hit because of Linda Ronstadt and the Stone Ponies. Michael Nesmith in a Monkees episode, does a parody where he plays a different artist and he plays a sped up, nervous version of the song on his acoustic guitar. Super endearing and funny, but he didn't record his own version until his 5th studio album, I believe, and All the Hits Keep Coming is what it's called.
Full circle.
Full circle. From 1972. And he has a totally different approach. The Stone Pony famous version is a full orchestrated number, whereas I think there's some like slide guitar on it and him and his acoustic guitar. The song itself is really good. For me, it was like a breakup hangover cure. The song, it's like, you and I, we travel to the beat of a different drum. You can tell by the way I run every time you make it eyes on me. And no, it's not that I knock it. It's just that I'm not in the market for a girl who wants to love only me, or as Linda Ronstadt's version is, a boy who wants to love only me. So it's about two lovers, one wanting to settle down and one wanting to stay free, and the lines in it are just so good where it has always stuck with me. And when I heard, and I loved the Stone Ponies version, but when I found out that Michael Nesmith had done the original, I had to check it out, and it straight up just my jaw dropped, because suddenly here is a completely different view just based on gender, and musically completely different than the version that the rest of the world knows. So for me, like Different Drum, hands down, I think is probably my favorite acoustic guitar jam.
Right on, man.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wear my hat in the stylings of Michael Nesmith whenever possible.
Really?
Yeah.
The kind of hat you're wearing now, a beanie? Or?
Yeah, sometimes he'd have the one with the ball on it.
Yeah, okay.
But he always kind of has it on the back of his head.
I can picture that monkey. I never knew his
yeah.
name.
Yeah, there he is.
Now I know that monkey.
I believe the only monkey with any musical talent who wrote his own songs. The rest was all just kind of make-believe.
So I had a really hard time whittling this list down to just 5 songs with acoustic guitar. There are, of course, so many amazing songs.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize that. I guess I didn't do my research beforehand. No, I'm with you. It's such a broad topic, which is awesome because we have 0 crossover for the first time, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam, thank you for your role in that.
Well,
Educational, my friend.
So I got to a certain point where I was like, okay, all of my songs have to have drums. That, like, just to help me somehow come up with only 5 songs. And there were a few songs that came very, very close to making the cut, and I want to mention them.
Sure. Yeah, let's get into it.
We got T-Rex, Life's a Gas.
Oh,
Could have picked
pretty good
several,
song, yeah.
several T-Rex songs, especially off Electric Warrior. But Life's a Gas was the one I definitely wanted to get on there.
And I'd also like to mention that I meant to bring this up in the honorable mention of 1973, but T-Rex Tanks came out that year. It's a good record. I don't love it as much as
Slider.
Electric Warrior and Slider.
Yeah.
But it's still great.
There's just so many T-Rex records. There's like more than I can get a hold on.
I would prefer more, less good quality T-Rex records if it meant Mark Bolan was alive.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
He'd be old as fuck, no?
I'd be up there. A little older than Bowie, around the same age.
Yeah, but I think he's older. I mean, he as at least was active earlier, right? Like,
He had more success, but yeah, him and Bowie were friend rivals. They worked together early on, and they had the same manager or something they worked for, and
the
that's how
same
they
producer, Tony Visconti.
met. Yeah,
Or
so
I mean, later in Bowie's career, but
Yeah, so there was this kind of friendly rivalry to a degree with them, and Bolin obviously had a little more success out the gate than Bowie did.
But
Have you-
what name is better known now?
I mean,
Bowie, for sure.
who?
Have you all ever seen the movie that Mark Bolan did with Ringo Starr?
No.
It's
Sounds
like
very English.
It's bizarre. It's just a bunch of. It's mostly just a bunch of fucking around on camera, basically. But it is Bolan and Ringo Starr clowning around. So
What's the movie?
I can't remember the title honestly, but
Oh, did you ever see that movie with George Harrison?
The Magic
Oh.
Christian,
No, Life of Brian.
Life of Brian.
Yeah, the Monty
Name.
Python film?
Yeah. Oh, right.
George Harrison's in that.
Yeah, George Harrison was actually a huge fan of Python and actually mortgaged his house to fund making that movie, and he has a cameo while he's up on the cross.
No kidding.
Yeah. Fun fact. What else you got, Ian?
Oh, Black Sabbath, Planet Caravan.
It is acoustic.
It is.
Incredible song.
Yeah, really creates a mood, creates a feeling. As do all these songs with acoustic guitar. I mean, that's,
Yeah,
I think-
acoustic guitar really helps the feeling come to the forefront,
Yeah.
if you will.
a mellow feeling.
Yeah. Have you ever tried the on YouTube? You can do 2.5 hours of Planet Caravan.
No, I haven't, but it
It's
sounds
great.
like it'd be great to go to sleep to.
I bet.
Yeah. Another one I really wanted on there was a band we talked kind of a lot about on the last episode, New York Dolls, Lonely Planet Boy. One of my favorite songs off their first record. And then also Johnny Thunder's You Can't Put Your Arms Around a Memory,
Yeah.
which is the
Yeah.
exact same acoustic guitar riff. But he's allowed to recycle it because it's his shit.
He wrote it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the deal with hits. You know, you find something that works and you just do it because it's a hit.
Just keep hitting.
And
Hit after hit.
then the other one I got with drums, biggest hit we've mentioned tonight, Kinks, Waterloo Sunset.
Oh, yeah.
Such a beautiful song. Plenty of other Kinks tracks with acoustic guitar. Strangers, This Time Tomorrow. Amazing band, but I was trying to go a little more. I don't know, not top 40 or whatever. So, yeah. You got any honorable mentions?
You know, honestly, I only have a couple. One of which it was going to be number one or it wasn't going to be on there at all. And so obviously didn't make the cut, but it's from 1998, so it's kind of later. The album was called 1459. Every Morning by Sugar Ray. Yeah, there's no denying when you got a hit, you got a hit. I spent the better 2/3 of my life hating that song. And one day I was stuck on an elevator. It came on. I got upset. And then suddenly a calming wave came over me and I realized, fuck it, dude, they did it. There's no denying it. It's just, it's such a good song. There's no way around it.
It's kind of funny. All their hits have acoustic guitar, and then like everything else on the record doesn't.
Sure, yeah. You go to their first album, Lemonade and Brownies. You know, they have a song called Danzig Needs a Hug. And as a Danzig fan, I appreciate that. I don't appreciate them as a band or a lot of the stuff. I was subjugated to listening to all their shit against my will. But yeah, I feel like they deserve a mention.
If you say so.
Yeah, maybe deserve is the wrong word.
You want to give them.
I have. But in all honesty, this next one I have, The Pretenders' Last Ride. It's such a beautiful song, incredibly sad, but just deeply moving. And to me, it just reminds me of a dear, dear friend who turned me on to that. And I can't help but think of him every time I hear it. So there is this kind of emotional connection or bond I have with the song. But if you're not familiar, look it up. You won't regret it. What do you got, Adam?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to ask you all to confirm my memory because I'm not sure if I remember this correctly, but Pinball Wizard does begin with an acoustic part. I think it's acoustic and not just a distorted electric. And just one of the most iconic and effective intros to a song
It's a fun song.
in all rock music. Like, just, it's a great song. It's an incredible song. I personally, I love The Who. And just the way that acoustic intro carries you into the song before the electric guitar, the like distorted guitar comes in, it's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah.
Great one to mention.
Yeah. Also, my near misses or runners up. Was
Honorable mentions,
honorable
as we call them
mentions.
here. They're not
Honorable mentions.
runner-ups. They are honorable.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't speak of them with enough honor. So it's these are honorable mentions.
Yeah, I wasn't here in the honor when you were
Yeah.
talking, so I need you to bring that to the forefront.
I really wasn't honoring it. Mississippi Fred McDowell's "Good Morning Little Schoolgirl," great track of like 1950s, 1960s blues. Also might be an undistorted electric guitar, but I couldn't tell, so I'm just assuming that it's acoustic.
I trust you, man.
Yeah. And one last one was John Fahey, who I brought up earlier in regards to Robbie Basho. John Fahey has a record called Fair Forward Voyagers, and he does a single long 23-minute track called When the Fire Meets the Rose that is just like mesmerizing. Oh yeah, and also and there's a Japanese hardcore guy named Crow, and he did a side project called Grave New World that is like a crazy like cybercrust album that's just like all over the place.
Named
Bizarre.
after the Late Discharge record?
Yes, it is.
Well, it's
Very
really only
good.
their second record. But
Yeah.
Yeah, the later one.
second proper LP.
This this project is named after that the ill-fated second proper LP, which never got the recognition it deserves.
Because it sucks.
In my we're just gonna let that pass. We're just gonna move on because you disrespected Grave New World. But the band Grave New World has a really astonishing moment in one of their songs, which is otherwise just like a long kind of droning like cyber crust Hawkwind track, where suddenly out of nowhere an acoustic guitar bursts in and does like a flamenco solo. Like there's no other acoustic elements in the entire album. Nothing about it is like soft or undistorted. But then suddenly in the middle of this song, there's like a baffling flamenco guitar solo.
And I am so happy you brought that one up because I was picturing that solo in my head, but could not place where I had heard it. But that is absolutely it. And I was talking to Susanna, like, I have this flamenco clean like acoustic solo in my head, but I don't know what the song goes to, and I don't know how to find it. But that is the song.
As I recall, the name of the track is "God Breathed His Last Agony," but it might be "Never Ending Winter." I don't know. All those songs kind of blend together on that album, but
Yeah, I also don't think it would have made my top 5, but it is
yeah,
awesome use of an acoustic guitar.
it's a great honorable mention.
Yeah,
Totally bizarre.
absolutely. I have a couple more honorable mentions, songs without drums, but that like kind of hurt my stomach to not put on the list. they're two songs that my dad used to just sit in the living room and play on his acoustic guitar, and they are Velvet Underground, Pale Blue Eyes. He actually played Femme Fatale a lot more frequently, which I also brought up to Susanna, and she was like, I wonder how that made your mom feel. Him just playing that over and over again, but it's a little different when a man's singing it, you know. But Pale Blue Eyes was the Velvet Underground song with acoustic guitar that was the most, sticks out from my childhood. I had three of my uncles recorded a version of it, and that may have been the first version I heard, but very important song to my youth. And the other one is Leonard Cohen, Bird on a Wire, which are, I think, like, that song is as good as lyrics get. I'm not a big lyrics guy. I'm more captured by rhythms and melodies, but Leonard Cohen is something special, and that song is amazing.
Thinking about it, I might throw some Leonard Cohen tracks as honorable mentions too. Wedding Rehearsal Blues, Famous Blue Raincoat. But I feel like it's always about the lyrics with Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
You know, like the guitar playing is just kind of.
Well, I mean, it's pretty special.
It's good.
The pace that his fingers move, especially early in his career, it's special, but it's also just such obvious acoustic guitar music.
Yeah.
Which for whatever reason, I made an attempt to avoid.
Yeah. Like, I think Leonard Cohen's more about his voice and lyrics than about his guitar playing. So.
Yeah, I would not disagree with that by any means.
Ian, I'm surprised that you didn't mention one song that I know you're a huge fan of that I would have thought would have been on your top 5 for sure.
Who's that?
A little band called TLC.
Oh, I ain't no scrub. No scrubs TLC.
So I think I have to go with a very obvious one that all of us have neglected. And I don't know why you guys did it. Honestly, I don't know why I did it, but Bob Dylan. Maybe it's too obvious. Maybe it wasn't obvious enough. I don't know where we are, but I got to tell you, I fucking love Tangled Up in Blue off of Blood on the Tracks, 1975. That song to me is incredible. I don't know why it didn't make it on my top 5 retrospectively, and that's probably why, because every time we record one of these, when I listen to it after the fact, I'm like, fuck, should have said this, should have done that. So I'm fortunate that I'm able to at least compensate a little bit by getting this in here because I almost forgot to bring it up. Bob Dylan, he's got a bunch of acoustic guitar songs. This, to me, is the one.
It's a great song.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's tough only picking 5.
I did have some trouble. Yeah.
Almost as obvious as Bob Dylan is a man by the name of Neil Young, who we did not mention at all tonight. I failed to bring up the fact that he was supposed to produce Forever Changes and bailed last minute because he wanted to focus on his own thing.
Rightfully
solo
so.
project.
He's got a lot going on.
It's true.
But I think that he would be a proper candidate for us to play top 5.
I think so too. And can I make a quick plug to my bud Dan Anderson, who hooked me up with the finger? Again, he used to work at a gallery in San Francisco called the Ep.6 Gallery. And he had a coworker there who happened to be Neil Young's daughter. And from my understanding, she may have not been the greatest employee, but Neil Young came in and bought a lot of art. So, Dan, what up, dude?
Neil.
Yeah, let's play some top 5.
All right,
Neil
I'm
Young.
ready.
Do you guys need a minute, or you think you can do it off the dome? I think I got it off the dome.
Let's just go for it. Adam, what do you got?
Okay. Here's my prediction. Harvest Moon
Is this in order?
Starting from the bottom up.
From the bottom up?
Yeah,
Oh,
let's do
okay.
the bottom up.
Okay. Powderfinger, Down by the River, Old Man, Harvest Moon, and Heart of Gold.
Okay.
Down by the River, very good one that I missed. But I'm going to go Only Love Can Break Your Heart, Heart of Gold, Hey Hey My, or whatever the name of
Into the Black.
Into the Black.
Into
I
the
think.
Black is. Okay.
We'll see
all
in a
know
minute,
we
but
all
yeah.
know the name of the song. Though,
I'm with you.
Or what the song is. None of us know the name.
We all know the
Harvest
song.
Moon, number 2. Number 1, Keep on Rockin' in the Free World.
All right. I'm actually really, really close to you, Ian. I've got Into the Black as my number 5, Old Man, Harvest Moon, Heart of Gold, Keep on Rockin' in the Free World.
Damn. Came up with that fast. Dude.
I think I excluded Keep on Rockin' just out of personal prejudice.
You're not a fan?
No, it's a great song.
Oh.
I just never listened to that
I
album.
mean, we're looking into what is going to be the most played on Spotify.
And I probably have Only Love Can Break Your Heart on there because After the Gold Rush is what I listen to the most.
Let's see. Neil, I'm pulling up right now. Yale Young? No, I don't think so. I think it's Neil Young.
Yale Young.
You'll know.
Ooh. Oh, damn.
What?
What are we learning?
Only one of us is learning so far.
Okay. I'm just going to double check the numbers here because I'm actually going to do in most played to least played, which
Okay.
the numbers don't always add up, but it looks like this does. So number 1 with like 184 million, Heart of Gold. Okay.
All right. Had it on the list.
Yeah, me too.
I had it at number 4.
I had it at number 2, so I blew it. With 128 million, we have Harvest Moon.
Okay.
Had it at number 2.
Yeah.
Very good. 107 million, Old Man.
Cool.
Nice work.
And then 84 million, we got My Hey Hey,
Oh.
a.k.a. Into the Black, a.k.a. My Hey Hey, or Hey Hey My. Yeah, so that's number 4. And then number 5 being Rockin' in the Free World with 57 million. I am so surprised that is number 5. If that
Sure.
number 5...
I'm just fucking stoked I got 4 out of 5. I feel pretty good about
That's
that.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Not in the right order at all, but
I will say I got 5 out of 5.
damn. Fuck me.
And the only thing, I had it almost in perfect order, except for Into the Black was number 5. Or I mean,
Oh, you mean My Hey Hey?
My Hey
Hey,
Hey,
My,
blah, blah,
My.
blah. If Keep on Rockin' in the Free World was number 1, everything would have fallen into place for me.
All right, you
So the
win.
last song I
Congratulations.
thought was going to be the best song. So I'm really surprised that it's, 140 million difference. Just in my head, I thought that was the one.
I'm pretty surprised that Down by the River is not
Me
further
too.
up the list,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, when you said that one, I was like,
Those are the facts.
Well, shoot, that was really fun.
that's just what the people like,
Acoustically yours, Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a delight.
Thanks so much for coming, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a blast.
I'd talk about this anytime.
Okay, quick fact check here. We were playing the top 5 game, and Ian and I were saying My and Hey Hey My were the same. They're 2 different songs. The one that I was thinking of was the electric guitar version, which is Hey Hey My. And that one is Into the Black, where My Hey Hey is Out of the Blue. And that was the one that was on the top 5. So I really only got 4 out of 5. Just wanted to put that out there and apologize for our ignorance. Please forgive us. Thanks.
Now, when I'm talking about instruments, and by instruments I mean instruments of the musical variety, I have basically one thing to say, and that's acoustic guitar is the best by far. I play one every day, but when I play, my friends all run away. Acoustic guitar's the best by far. Goodbye, my friends, I will never play again. Acoustic guitar's the best by far. The acoustic guitar. Oh, God.
This has been a Top 5 production, produced by Kenton McDonald. Our theme song was by Ian Howe. Our logo artwork is from Andrew Colgan at Studio AYC. Edited by Kenton McDonald with editing assistance from Ian Howe. And a very big thank you to Andrew Bassett for today's outro music. And if you'd like to request a criteria, you can email us at podcast.topfive@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.